Hey, welcome to the channel Yoga with THB. Before moving forward, make sure to subscribe the channel for getting videos on psychological, physical and educational information. And if you're already a subscriber, then click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button so you get notified of our future videos.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alright, let's begin with our ninth lecture that is about psychological well-being. ये टॉपिक भी जो है दैट इज़ अलाइन दैट इज़ इन लाइन विद वेलबींग टॉपिक, इसीलिए मैंने इसको इसी कॉन्टिन्यूटी में ही इंट्रोड्यूस कराया है, क्योंकि हमने पहले हमारा जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो हमने इस्टेब्लिश कर लिया है अबाउट द वेलबींग. वी हैव अंडरस्टूड व्हाट वेलबींग इज़, वी हैव अंडरस्टूड व्हाट कंपोनेंट्स लीड्स टू वेलबींग, वी हैव क्लियरली अंडरस्टूड दैट व्हाट इज़ डिफरेंस बिटवीन फ्लरिशिंग एंड वेलबींग, how one can lead towards a flourished life, how much well-being is important, what is the difference between happiness and well-being. और हमने उन्हीं के अंदर जो है प्रीवियस लेक्चर में ही वी हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट देयर आर वेरियस टाइप्स ऑफ वेल-बीइंग्स. ठीक है, बट आई हैव क्लियरली टोल्ड यू दैट आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू डिस्कस अबाउट साइकोलॉजिकल वेल-बीइंग इन डिटेल in the upcoming lectures. So here we go, because it is quite related with positive psychology, and positive psychology has continuously been continuously studying about psychological well-being. All right. When we talk about psychological well-being, it is important to understand that who gave this phenomena, who actually talked about psychological well-being, who were the exponents of psychological well-being, who were the psychologists who tried to introduce the concept of psychological well-being, etc, etc. So it's a six factor model of psychological well-being. Is a theory developed, basically जो theory है that is derived from a six factor model of psychological well-being that has been developed by Carol Ryff, which determines six factors which contributed to an individual's psychological well-being, contentment and happiness. उनका कहना ये था, she was of this opinion that Carol Ryff is basically a female psychologist who proposed this theory, and she believed that कि जो सिक्स फैक्टर मॉडल हैं दैट विल इवेंचुअली लीड्स टूवर्ड्स साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग एज वेल एज कंटेंटमेंट एंड हैप्पीनेस. सी, अगर आप इसको देखें तो इसमें भी जो क्रक्स है वो यही है कि अल्टीमेट जो है कंटेंटमेंट हैप्पीनेस को कैसे उसकी तरफ जाना है, व्हाट इज़ द पाथ टूवर्ड्स कंटेंटमेंट एंड हैप्पीनेस, अलॉन्ग विद दैट हाउ वी कैन अचीव साइकोलॉजिकल वेल-बींग. Right? So Ryff was already quietly working on the problem at the University of Wisconsin Madison. She ended up creating one of the first systematic models of psychological well-being, and her model remained one of the most scientifically verified and empirically rigorous until today. ठीक, राइफ जो थी, कैरल राइफ, शी वॉज एक्चुअली क्वाइटली वर्किंग ऑन दिस फिनोमेना. ये बात नहीं है कि इससे पहले साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग के ऊपर जो है वो उसको टैप नहीं किया था उस इशू को, और पीपल haven't talked about psychological well-being, or this is something a totally completely new construct. It's just the fact that she was working deeply on this issue, on this construct, on this concept, so that she can come up with a systematic theory or systematic model over this construct. So therefore, after doing extensive research on psychological well-being, she ended up creating one of the first systematic models of psychological well-being, and that model is still considered as the most empirically, scientifically verified model until today. ठीक है, साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग का जो कैरल राइफ का मॉडल है, इट हैज़ बीन कंसिडर्ड द मोस्ट रिलायबल वन, इट हैज़ बीन कंसिडर्ड एज द मोस्ट authentic model, and it has been considered as a well researched model, right? All right, what basically motivated Carol Ryff to work on psychological well-being? What was her motivation to work on this concept with so much detail? Why she wanted to make a systematic model over psychological well-being? What was her motivation? Why she was deeply interested in psychological well-being? This is what we are going to study in this slide. Carol Ryff was basically motivated by two things. right? First of all, that she used to believe that well-being is not a subject, well-being is not something that should be restricted to medical or biological descriptions. Rather, she was of the opinion that it is more of a philosophical question about the meaning of a good life. You can clearly see by this definition or by this motivation of her that she was interested. Similarly, the Greek philosophers were interested in about or the way they addressed the question about happiness or about well-being. So she was on the similar path. She was actually following the similar lines, राइट क्योंकि उसको भी यही लगता था कि दिस इज़ नॉट समथिंग जिसको आप रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दें कि जी ये मेडिकल और बायोलॉजिकल टर्म्स में कि इंसान की जो इलनेसेस हैं अगर वो इफ़ ही और शी इज़ हैज़ नो इलनेस और देयर इज़ अ कंप्लीट एब्सेंस ऑफ साइकोलॉजिकल इलनेसेस among an individual, either psychological or physical illnesses, only then that person will be able to reach to the state of well-being. She wasn't of that opinion. She used to believe that it is more of a philosophical term, it is more of a philosophical idea. One should reach to this level, one should be more interested in analyzing the meaning of a good life, that how one can attain good life and what is the meaning of a good life to that person is, right? All right, this was her first assumption, rather first motivation. The second factor that motivated her was about that current psychological theories of well-being at that time lacked empirical rigor and that they had not been and could not be tested. As I have told you earlier in the previous slide, that well-being or psychological well-being wasn't a new construct or wasn't a new concept. It has already been discussed by various personalities, by various psychologists, by various social scientists. But the thing was that why Martin Seligman along with that Carol Ryff, they both were interested in making a more rigorous, more empirical, more scientific model or more scientific theories over these concepts, over these constructs. Therefore, they were interested to study about these constructs or research about these constructs purely in a scientific terms, right? That is why the one other reason of putting forward this model for Carol Ryff was that she thought that the current theories do not have that empirical rigor. Along with that, these theories cannot be tested. A good theory is a theory that can be replicated. A good theory is a theory that can be retested. A good theory is a theory that is valid and that is reliable and that can be implied on many other different cultures, many other different samples, many other different professionals, right? So these are the characteristics of a good theory. So already, although there were certain theories in the field of psychology were there about well-being construct, but those theories were not that valid, therefore they cannot be tested. So she thought that she should work on a psychological theories of well-being that can have a good empirical background, that can have a good empirical or scientific validity. All right, I hope the motivation factor of Carol Ryff is being clear to you. Right, Ryff and Singer presented. There was another co-author with her who was also working with her on the concept of psychological well-being. That was Singer. Somewhere in 1998, Ryff and Singer presented a multi-dimensional approach to the measurement of for measuring psychological well-being that actually taps 6 distinct aspects of human actualization. Right. हमने पहले भी बात की थी कि इनिशियली कि इसकी मॉडल बेस्ड थ्योरी थी साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग के ऊपर, और वो मॉडल बेस्ड थ्योरी जो थी वो मॉडल वाज अ मल्टी डायमेंशनल मॉडल. दैट मॉडल वाज नॉट फोकसिंग ऑन वन एस्पेक्ट और टू एस्पेक्ट्स, रादर the focus of that model is spread over 6 different dimensions, 6 different aspects through which she believed that psychological well-being can be attained. अब वो 6 एस्पेक्ट्स क्या हैं उनको हम वन बाय वन इन डिटेल जो है वो देखते हैं. The six constructs define psychological well-being both theoretically and operationally, and they specify what promotes emotional and physical health. Eventually purpose क्या था psychological well-being के उन constructs का या उस multidimensional aspects का? Purpose in the end यही है कि that can only promote better emotional and physical health along with the psychological health, right? So psychological well-being was both theoretically and operationally defined in the same in the terms of through six dimensions that she has put forward. Model, first dimension or first construct of that model is self-acceptance. She believed that one can only attain psychological well-being by accepting your own self. Rejecting self, denial, all these things can create a lot of hindrances for it in achieving psychological well-being. You cannot achieve psychological well-being if you do not have acceptance for your own self. If you lack self-acceptance, if you do not believe in what you are, right? So we see how we can define high self-acceptance or self-acceptance. Let's see. High self-acceptance is that you possess a positive attitude towards yourself. You acknowledge and accept multiple aspects of yourself, including both good and bad qualities, and feel positive about your past life as well. High acceptance या high self-acceptance or self-acceptance is just not about accepting your good side. It's about accepting both your sides, good and bad, both the qualities you need to accept, and then feel positive about your present and even about your past, right? Because there's no other there are no hardly there are people, I mean you cannot find people without any bad qualities. It is highly impossible. Okay, human being, they are there for making different mistakes. They have certain bad qualities. Not everybody is perfect, rather nobody is perfect. Okay, so when we are not perfect, then definitely we have certain bad qualities along with certain good qualities. So the point here is to make that you have to accept yourself with all your good and bad attributes, and then you have to feel positive about your past life as well. Contentment with the past is extremely important. There might be certain circumstances, there might be certain situations in your past when you are highly unsatisfied with it. There is this possibility कि आपके past में जो है वो कोई बहुत pleasant चीज़ें, कोई बहुत pleasant memories ना हो. बट मूविंग ऑन विद दैट, उस चीज़ को भी, उस पास्ट लाइफ को भी जो है वो एक लेसन समझ के आप मूव जब आगे करते हैं तो अल्टीमेटली यू फील पॉजिटिव एंड यू फील कंटेंटेड विद योर पास्ट, राइट? तो उसने कहा कि ये 2-3 चीज़ें जो हैं वो एक सेल्फ एक्सेप्टेंस के लिए इम्पॉर्टेंट है. That you possess a positive attitude about yourself. You need to stop complaining about yourself. You need to stop feeling sorry for yourself every time. You need to stop blaming yourself, right? You need to stop rejecting yourself, rejecting your certain attributes, right? So you have to possess a positive attitude toward yourself by acknowledging and accepting the various factors, the various aspects of yourself, both good and bad. अब low self acceptance क्या होती है? That when you feel dissatisfied with yourself, when you are disappointed with what has occurred in your past life or what has been occurring currently in your life, and you are troubled about certain personal qualities and you wish to be different than what you are. This is a core concept of low self-acceptance, that you always try to be and you always wish to be and you always desire to be different than what you are. Why? Because you are not accepting your real self. Whatever you are, you need to accept yourself the way you are. You need to feel confident on yourself the way you are, right? So low self-acceptance occurs when people are dissatisfied with themselves, when they are always disappointed with themselves, when they think that they are completely disappointed with what has occurred in their past lives. They feel troubled about certain personal qualities and they wish to be different than they are. Alright, I hope self-acceptance is being clear to you. This is quite easier topic, but one of the most prominent, significant variable that you all need to have in your life in order to achieve psychological well-being. You cannot attain psychological well-being if you are unable to accept yourself the way you are. Personal growth. The next is personal growth. Strong personal growth, or what is personal growth, is about when you have a feeling of a continued development and you see yourself as expanding, you see yourself as growing, and you are quite open to new experiences. And you have that sense of realizing your potentials, your capabilities, your capacities, and you see improvement in yourself and behavior over time, and are changing ways that reflect more self-knowledge and more self-effectiveness, more self-worth, more self-confidence. These all are the things, these all are the variables that lead you towards personal growth, right? A feeling of continued development, and when you are seeing yourself as an expanding individual, as a growing individual, then you are attaining personal growth. Another important variable in personal growth is openness to new experiences. Openness to new experiences will actually lead you towards better adaptability. Have you seen people who are quite adaptable with new environment, with new situations, with new places? And there are certain people who are not really, whose adaptation are that not that strong. हम usually ये word use करते हैं कि adaptability बहुत weak है उस शख्स की, या adaptability बहुत strong है उस शख्स की. There are certain people, जब वो नई जगह पे मूव करते हैं, नई कल्चर में मूव करते हैं, they easily get adjusted. They feel कि ये growth के लिए है, they feel their selves developed. But there are certain individuals who who are certainly not open to new experiences. उनको बहुत टाइम लगता है उस चीज़ के साथ एडजस्ट करने में. So adjustment and openness to new experiences is also significant to personal growth, right? Then what is weak personal growth? When you have a sense of personal stagnation, lack the sense of improvement or expansion over time, you feel bored and uninterested with life, and you feel unable to develop new attitudes or new behaviors, right? This is called weak personal growth. This is one form when you feel that you are stagnant, you are not growing anymore. There is this personal cessation of your growth. सीज हो गई है आपका ग्रोथ प्रोसेस जो है. यू फील दैट यू आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग न्यू, यू आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग सिग्निफिकेंट एनी मोर, and you lack the sense of improvement or expansion in yourself over time, and you feel bored, uninterested with life matters. आप चीज़ों में इस तरह से इंटरेस्ट नहीं लेते. You don't enjoy things the way those people are actually enjoying who have good strong personal growth, and you feel bored easily, and you feel unable to develop new attitudes and behaviors. हमें with time, with the passage of time, with the requirement of different time, हमें हमारे attitudes, behaviors को भी evolve करने की ज़रूरत होती है. तो ये वो लोग होते हैं जिनकी वीक पर्सनल ग्रोथ होती है, इनको लगता है कि कुछ भी evolve नहीं कर सकते ये, ठीक है. तो वो उनके नए एटीट्यूड्स, नए बिहेवियर्स उस रिक्वायरमेंट के अकॉर्डिंगली दे आर अनएबल टू अडॉप्ट देम, दे आर अनएबल टू डेवलप देम. तो वो है न्यू वीक पर्सनल ग्रोथ. सो द सेकेंड variable which is equally significant for attaining psychological well-being is personal growth, that you need to feel continuous development in yourself. You need to see yourself as a growing and expanding individual. अगर आप स्टेगनेंट हो जाते हैं और आप रुक जाते हैं बिल्कुल, और आपको लगता है कि देयर इज़ नथिंग मोर यू कैन डू विद योर लाइफ, देन यू हैव स्टॉप्ड पर्सनल growth in yourself, and then you will definitely not be able to achieve psychological well-being eventually. Alright, the third ingredient or a third variable that will lead you towards psychological well-being is about purpose in life. That one must have a certain purpose or goal in life in order to attain psychological well-being. Have you seen that purpose in life or meaningful life or meaning in life कितने सिग्निफिकेंट एरियाज़ हैं जिसको टैप किया है बार बार वेरियस पॉजिटिव साइकोलॉजिस्ट ने, मार्टिन सेलिगमैन ने भी, मिहाइल ने भी, इससे पहले वेलबींग के कॉन्सेप्ट ने भी, परमा के अंदर भी उसने बेस किया है अपने मॉडल को ओवर मीनिंगफुलनेस के ऊपर. सो पर्पस इन लाइफ इज़ एक्सट्रीमली इम्पॉर्टेंट इंग्रेडिएंट. यू कैन नॉट अचीव वेलबींग और यू कैन नॉट अचीव साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग अनलेस एंड until you have some purpose in your life. So what is strong purpose in life? Purpose in life can be defined as that when you have goals in life and you have a sense of direction in life, and when you feel that there is a meaning to your present and past life, and when you hold beliefs that give life a purpose, and when you have aims and objectives for living. वो कहते हैं कि बेसलेस लाइफ, पर्पसलेस लाइफ का कोई भी बेनिफिट नहीं है. देयर इज़ नो एडवांटेज टू सच लाइफ. वन मस्ट हैव अ गोल इन लाइफ, वन मस्ट हैव अ सेंस ऑफ डायरेक्शन, वन मस्ट हैव अ मीनिंग इन देयर लाइफ. They should find meaning in their present. Along with that, they should find meaning within their past life as well. ऐसा नहीं है कि वो अपने पास्ट को बिल्कुल कम्प्लीटली उस किताब को बंद कर दें, that they are not satisfied with it. They whatever they have done in their past was all useless, it was all purposeless. No, this is not the case. हमने पहले भी in the previous slide भी, in a previous डायमेंशंस में भी हमने इस चीज़ को कवर किया है साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग में, दैट कंटेंटमेंट और सेटिस्फेक्शन विद द पास्ट लाइफ इज़ एन इक्वली इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. क्यों इम्पॉर्टेंट है? क्योंकि लॉट ऑफ साइकोलॉजिकल डिसऑर्डर्स हैव अराइज्ड और ये they have generated among people is just because they are dissatisfied or they were dissatisfied with their past life. जब आप dissatisfied होते हैं, आप disappointed होते हैं, when you find no meaning, when you find your past as a purposeless time, purposeless event, तो उस टाइम पे आप जो है, आपका माइंड जो है वो उसी को प्रोसेस करता रहता है, उसी नेगेटिविटी को प्रोसेस करता रहता है. और जब उसी नेगेटिविटी को प्रोसेस करता है तो फिर आप प्रेजेंट में फुली इंगेज नहीं होते. राइट? सो होल्डिंग बिलीव दैट गिव लाइफ अ पर्पस, वन शुड होल्ड ऑल दोज बिलीव जिसमें ज़िंदगी में इंसान अपना पर्पस ढूंढे, वो क्या करना चाहता है, उसके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स फॉर लिविंग क्या है. वो दुनिया में आया है तो किसी पर्पस की वजह से आया है. दे नीड टू फाइंड दैट पर्पस इन लाइफ, what they are supposed to do, either for their own selves and either for other people. Right? So what is weak purpose in life? That is when you lack sense of meaning in life, when you have few goals or aims, lack a sense of direction, when you do not see purpose of your past life, when you have no outlook or beliefs that give life meaning. ये उस टाइम पे है जब आपको लगता है कि आपकी ज़िंदगी में देयर इज़ नो मीनिंग टू इट. यू आर अ यूजलेस क्रिएचर, यू आर अ यूजलेस बीइंग, which is completely incorrect concept, because nobody is actually useless in this world. Right? Even certain we say, certain people say that even non-living things are not useless. ठीक है? So everything, और इंसान, human being, that human being is always is always there for some bigger purpose. You just need to find out that what purpose you have for this life, what objectives you have for this life. So weak purpose in life tab hota hai jab when you have unclear goals, when you have vague goals, when you have absurd aims, when you lack sense of direction. आपको कोई कहता है ये कर लें, आप वो करना शुरू कर देते हैं. आपको कोई कहता है ये वाली चीज़ अडॉप्ट कर लें, आप वो करना शुरू कर देते हैं. लेट्स से कोई कहता है ये वाला मेजर रख लें, पढ़ लेंगे. you yourself do not have that direction कि आप क्या करना चाहते हैं. what do you want to become, what do you want to do, what do you want to contribute in the society, how do you want to grow yourself, by adopting which profession, by adopting which area. Right? So weak purpose उन लोगों का होता है who have no sense of direction. ठीक है? And they have found no meaning in their life, and they are completely disappointed and dissatisfied, and they view their past life as a purposeless time, right? So this was purpose in life, equally important, equally significant variable for attaining psychology. Next is positive relations with others, right? Positive relationships in other with others जो है, ये भी हमने we have discussed in Burma के मॉडल में. Similarly साइकोलॉजिकल वेलबींग को भी अचीव करने के लिए वो कहते हैं कि पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप्स होने चाहिए. ये नहीं कि आपके रिलेशनशिप्स बहुत सारे हैं. यू हैव, मैंने पहले भी पिछली स्लाइड में भी आई हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट कि ज़्यादा मल्टीपल रिलेशन, एक्सेसिव रिलेशनशिप्स होना इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है. इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट टू हैव गुड कंस्ट्रक्टिव पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप्स. It's important to have trustworthy relationships. It's important to have empowering, strong relationships, right? So वो कहती है कि positive relationships का होना ज़रूरी है. When you have warm, satisfying, trusting relationship with others and are concerned about the welfare of others, then you are capable of strong empathy, affection and intimacy and understand the give and take of human relationships. वो कहते हैं जब तक इंसान के अपने relationships positive और strong नहीं होते, that person would not be able to do would not be able to understand the concept of give and take in the human relationships. That person would not be able to understand the respect for the relationships. That person won't be having, the person who doesn't have trusting relationships won't be able to do something better for other people as well. जब आपके अपने relationships लोगों के साथ अच्छे, warm, positive, satisfying, trusting होते हैं, only then you are able to do something for other people as well. Only then you are able to do something for their welfare, right? So you are capable of strong empathy, और आपके अंदर empathy लोगों के लिए, आपके अंदर sympathy लोगों के लिए love, affection, intimacy सिर्फ तब arise हो सकती है when you have a good, strong, positive relationships, right? How do we define weak relations? When you have few close, trusting relationships with others, find it difficult to be warm, open and concerned about others, and are isolated and frustrated in interpersonal relationships, and are not willing to make compromises to sustain important ties with others. Weak relationships तब बनते हैं जब you yourself have lot of rigidity in yourself, when you are not flexible, when you are not giving due respect and due trust to your relationships. वो relationships कभी भी लॉन्ग लास्टिंग, एवरलास्टिंग नहीं होते. अलॉन्ग विद दैट यू आर अनएबल, आपके लिए डिफ़िकल्टी होती है उन रिलेशनशिप्स में वार्मनेस, इफेक्शन दिखाने के लिए. आप यू आर अनएबल टू कंसर्न अबाउट देम. हैव यू सीन देयर आर सर्टन पीपल हु आर क्वाइट अ लोनर्स. they remain, they want to be with themselves. They hardly talk to people, they hardly engage in social gatherings. They just find their own, they have their own den and they just want to be there. वो आइसोलेशन जो है वो इवेंचुअली फ्रस्ट्रेशन कॉज करती है फिर इंटरपर्सनल रिलेशनशिप्स में, जहाँ पर उनको करना पड़ जाए कनेक्ट, जहाँ पर उनको सोशल गैदरिंग्स में जाना आना पड़ जाए, वहाँ पर वो उनके लिए फ्रस्ट्रेशन कॉज करती है. एंड ये वो लोग होते हैं स्पेसिफिकली वीक रिलेशनशिप्स तब होते हैं व्हेन यू आर नॉट रेडी टू डू कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस. क्योंकि जब आप रिलेशनशिप्स के अंदर हैं, चाहे वो पेरेंट चाइल्ड रिलेशनशिप है, चाहे वो सिबलिंग रिलेशनशिप है, वो रिलेटिव्स के साथ रिलेशनशिप है, व्हेन यू हैव योर फ्रेंड्स इन का जो आपस में रिलेशनशिप है, जो हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ का रिलेशनशिप है, जो रिलेशनशिप्स हैं, दे ऑल डिमांड सर्टन कॉम्प्रोमाइजेस, they demand flexibility, because these compromises are important to sustain important ties with other people. अगर compromises नहीं होंगे तो ties जो हैं वो loosen up होते जाएंगे automatically. Therefore, in conclusively अगर हम इसको देखें तो positive relationships जो हैं वो आपके psychological well-being को enhance करते हैं only when you are able to give others and when you are able to take love and affection from others as well. जो give and take का relationship है, affectionate का और satisfaction का और warmness का और trust का, वो both sides से आपको देना भी आना चाहिए और आपको लेना भी आना चाहिए in order to sustain your relationships. The fifth is environmental mastery. What is environmental mastery? Environmental mastery को अगर हम define करें तो it can be defined as a sense of mastery and competence in managing the environment. When you can control complex area of external activities, when you make effective use of surrounding opportunities, and when you are able to choose or create contexts suitable to your personal needs and values. वो कहते हैं हाई इन्वायरमेंटल मास्टरी का होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. इन्वायरमेंटल मास्टरी क्या होती है? दैट when you are competent enough in managing your environment. हम हर वक्त किसी न किसी इन्वायरमेंट में, चाहे किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के इन्वायरमेंट में, चाहे होम इन्वायरमेंट में हैं, चाहे किसी और इनफॉर्मल गैदरिंग के इन्वायरमेंट में हैं, चाहे किसी और डिफरेंट कल्चर के अंदर हम उस इन्वायरमेंट में हैं. सो इन्वायरमेंट इज़ अ अम्ब्रेला टर्म यूज्ड फॉर ऑल दोज इन्वायरमेंट्स. वो कहते हैं उसमें मास्टरी का होना इम्पॉर्टेंट है. ये नहीं कि आप कहीं पे जाएं और आपको अपने आप को मैनेज करना मुश्किल हो जाए, आप अपने इन्वायरमेंट की कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज़ को कंट्रोल ना कर सकें. हर वक्त सारा टाइम हमारे लिए हमारा जो इन्वायरमेंट होता है, हमारी जो सराउंडिंग्स होती हैं वो उतनी स्मूथ नहीं होती. ज़रूरी नहीं है कि हर वक्त एक ही पेस में चीज़ें चलती रहें, सब कुछ गुड इन गुड होता रहे. नहीं, दिस इज़ हाईली इम्पॉसिबल. We have to, as in human beings, or especially when we are living in a society and we are considered as a social animal, we must surrounded by difficulties. We definitely encounter many complicated situations. We just need to know how to deal with that situation effectively and how to come out of that situation effectively. This is important, right? So वो कहते हैं कि अपनी एक्सटर्नल एक्टिविटीज़ को मैनेज करना इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. देन यू मेक इफेक्टिव यूज़ ऑफ सराउंडिंग अपॉर्चुनिटीज़. आपकी जो सराउंडिंग में अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं, यू नीड टू नो हाउ यू आर एबल टू मेक गुड यूज़ ऑफ दोज अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ एंड यू आर एबल टू चूज़ एंड क्रिएट कॉन्टेक्स्ट. आप उसके अंदर से, उन अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ के अंदर से आप अपने लिए वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट, वो चीज़ें क्रिएट कर लें जो आपकी पर्सनल नीड को फुलफ़िल करती हैं, जो आपकी पर्सनल वैल्यूज़ को फुलफ़िल करती हैं. तो आप इन्वायरमेंटल मास्टरी को अचीव कर सकते हैं. बट हु आर दोज पीपल हु लैक इन्वायरमेंटल मास्टरी और हु आर लो इन इन्वायरमेंटल मास्टरी? These are the people who have difficulty in managing everyday affairs. They feel unable they feel unable to change and to improve surrounding contexts. They are unaware of surrounding opportunities. They lack sense of control over the external world. ये वो लोग हैं जिनको अपने everyday affairs, जो everyday में वो इनकाउंटर करते हैं, डिफरेंट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड डिफ़िकल्ट सिचुएशंस, उनको डील करने में जो प्रॉब्लम्स उनको फेस करना पड़ती हैं, क्योंकि दे आर अनएबल टू डील विद देम. दे फाइंड देम देयरसेल्व्स एज incompetent enough. They are unable to change their surroundings. They feel that they are unable to improve their surroundings. They are unable to remove the problematic areas of their surroundings. Why? Because they lack control over the external world. उनको नहीं लगता कि they have certain control, or by putting an effort they can change their contexts. They can choose and create those contexts that are suitable to their personal needs and values, right? So environmental mastery का भी होना बहुत important है for achieving well-being. ये भी adaptability से भी इसका लिंक है कि the more you are adaptable, उतना ही ज़्यादा आप environmental mastery को achieve कर लेते हैं, उतना ही ज़्यादा you are competent enough in managing your less complicated everyday. Last is autonomy. What is autonomy? Autonomy का word you must have heard lot of times. ये उसी से है. इसका लिटरल मतलब जो है इंडिपेंडेंसी है. ऑटोनोमस होना, इंडिपेंडेंट होना जो है ये उसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में है. वो कहते हैं who are people who are autonomous, who are high in autonomy. They are those people who are self-determining and independent, and they are able to resist social pressures, to think and act in different ways. They regulate their behavior from within. The behavior comes within their selves. They evaluate their selves by personal standards. ये वो लोग होते हैं जो अपने आप को independently अपनी decision making कर सकते हैं. They can resist social pressures. हमारे यहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा मसला जो हमारी सोसाइटी में, ओवरऑल हमारी सोसाइटी में है कि हमारी अपब्रिंगिंग ऐसी की जाती है कि हमें ऑटोनमस इंडिविजुअल्स नहीं बनाया जाता। ये भी बहुत बड़ी एक हिंड्रेंस है। हमारे यहाँ लोग साइकोलॉजिकली जो है वो इतना वेल फंक्शन नहीं करते, इवन एट द सर्टन एज ऑफ लाइफ, even by achieving so much in their lives, they are unable to, practice psychological well-being just because of the fact that we are that are brought up actually. We haven't taught autonomy in our upbringing through our parents or through our elders in the society. Overall ये हमारी सोसाइटी का डिलेमा है। हमारे यहाँ करियर्स इन्फोर्स्ड होते हैं, आप करियर डिसीजन मेकिंग लोग नहीं कर सकते। हमारे यहाँ मैरिटल रिलेशनशिप्स इन्फोर्स्ड होते हैं, पीपल कैन नॉट चूज़ देयर ओन स्पाउसेस। हमारे यहाँ यूनिवर्सिटी सिलेक्शन, कॉलेज सिलेक्शन फोर्स्ड होती है। वी आर नॉट autonomous in taking certain actions. There are very few parents who are so enlightened in the way that they let their children choose their own careers. See, you have to sustain a certain career. You have to sustain a certain major in your university. So you are supposed to take decision that what subject suits you, what subject interests you, what are your capabilities, what are your abilities, and you need to resist that social pressure. You need to resist that pressure that is coming from your family, that is coming from your extended family, that is coming from your peer group. You need to resist that pressure only to become autonomous, because autonomy actually teaches you, actually guide you for a lot of good things जो हमें, जिसके बारे में we are not really aware. बिकॉज सेल्फ डिटर्मिन होना, इंडिपेंडेंट होना, इंडिपेंडेंट डिसीजन मेकिंग करना आपको बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट बनाता है, आपकी सेल्फ इस्टीम को इम्प्रूव करता है, आप केपेबल हो जाते हैं डिफरेंट तरीके से सोचने में। आपने देखा है देयर आर सर्टन चिल्ड्रन, देयर आर सर्टन स्टूडेंट्स, देयर आर सर्टन कॉलीग, देयर आर सर्टन पीयर्स हु आर स्टडिंग विद यू और हु आर वर्किंग विद यू। उनकी डिसीजन मेकिंग पावर बहुत अच्छी होती है, दे आर क्विक इन मेकिंग डिसीजंस। वाई? बिकॉज उन्होंने बड़ी यंग एज से ऑटोनॉमी को जो है वो प्रैक्टिस किया होता है, बहुत छोटे छोटे डिसीजंस में उन्होंने ऑटोनॉमी प्रैक्टिस की होती है। हमारे यहाँ तो हम इतने भी ऑटोनमस नहीं होते दैट वी कैन बाय समथिंग फॉर आवरसेल्व्स ऑन आवर ओन चॉइस। उसमें भी हमारे यहाँ मेजॉरिटी टाइम्स यही होता है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम, कि हमें अप्रूवल लेना पड़ता है। हम पहले लोगों से कहते हैं कि तुम बताओ मैं ये जो चीज़ ले रहा हूँ ये ठीक है या नहीं। Why not? Can't you buy yourself? Can't you buy a dress for yourself, all by your own choice? Can't you make these little decisions? On the other hand, on contrary to this, in Western societies, autonomy बड़ी छोटी एज से बच्चे प्रैक्टिस करते हैं। उधर एक टॉडलर को भी पता होता है that I have my own choice. Even if I have to buy this food product, I have to buy it out of my own choice. इसीलिए वहाँ पर प्रेशर्स को हैंडल करना आसान होता है, प्रेशर्स लोग बेहतर तरीके से हैंडल कर लेते हैं एज़ कम्पेयर टू अस। क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ एडल्ट्स को एक ख़ास एज तक बचपन से लेके एक एडल्ट एज तक ऑटोनॉमी को प्रैक्टिस ही नहीं कराया जाता। तो लेटर ऑन जब वो इंडिपेंडेंट होते भी हैं, व्हेन दे आर ऑन देयर ओन, और उनको सर्टेन डिसीजन मेकिंग करनी भी पड़ती है, तो दे आर अनएबल टू मेक दोज डिसीजंस। वो बड़े कन्फ्यूज होते हैं। दे स्टिल नीड सर्टन गाइडेंस और ये चीज़ है, डायरेक्शन और चीज़ है, एडवाइस लेना और चीज़ है पेरेंट्स से। यू मस्ट टेक advices, you must take direction, you must take guidance from your elders or your parents, but again you should be knowing your own potentials as well. आपको अपने पर्सनल स्टैंडर्ड्स के बारे में खुद पता है कि आप किस सब्जेक्ट को पसंद करते हैं। Will you be a good doctor if that decision has been forced upon you because you always wanted to study arts? Right? So this is why autonomy is important. What is low autonomy? When you are concerned about the expectations and evaluations of others. See, you rely on judgment of others to make important decisions and to conform to social pressures to think and act in certain ways. This is a complete scenario of our society. Right? Even till today, जबकि हम बड़ी advancement भी हो चुकी है, it's a modern era, बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो हैं वो चेंज हो गई हैं, बट स्टिल दीज सर्टन स्टैंडर्ड्स रिमेन द सेम, अभी तक तो ऐसे ही. वी आर ऑलवेज कंसर्न्ड अबाउट द इवेल्युएशन ऑफ अदर्स, लोग हमारे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे. दिस हैज़ डिस्ट्रॉयड the whole personality of individuals. This one sentence, that how others would think about me. For every little decision, for every little act, we have to think over others. हमें हर वक्त यही सिखाया जाता है how we are going to be evaluated, how we are going to be evaluated by others. लोग क्या कहेंगे, लोग क्या कहेंगे, लोग क्या कहेंगे. You have to be concerned about other people judgment. लोगों की जजमेंट के बारे में केयर करो. That how people would think अगर तुम ये सब्जेक्ट पढ़ लोगे. If a guy wanted to study music, all the society would be, the parents, सब लोग, सब relationships, extended family, they all were of the opinion that how people are going to judge you, that you are a guy and what do you want to study, you want to study music. See, हम हर अपने important decisions में जजमेंट्स के ऊपर रिलाई करते हैं, एंड वी कन्फर्म टू दो सोशल प्रेशर्स. ये होती है लो ऑटोनॉमी. दिस इज़ कॉल्ड लो इंडिपेंडेंस. दिस इज़ कॉल्ड लो सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन, एंड दैट विल सर्टेनली नॉट लीड यू टूवर्ड्स वेल-बीइंग. दिस विल सर्टेनली नॉट लीड यू टूवर्ड्स psychological well-being. So you must practice certain autonomy in yourself. I am saying that direction, guidance, advice is a separate thing. But for not very little decisions, you know your potentials well, and then you have to stand by those potential capacities that you have. All right, in the end इस slide में ये एक it's a very comprehensive image that I found, और मैंने हर बार इसको वो किया है, स्टूडेंट्स को दिया है, जिसमें बड़ा ब्रीफली लिखा हुआ है अबाउट ऑल द 6 डायमेंशंस अलॉन्ग विद देयर एग्जाम्पल्स भी दी हुई हैं, और उसका जो है उसको रिलेट भी किया हुआ है उन्होंने परमा के मॉडल के साथ. उसमें से परमा के मॉडल में से सिर्फ 2 डायमेंशंस जो हैं वो हमें नई नज़र आती हैं, एक एनवायरमेंटल मास्टरी और एक ऑटोनॉमी एंड ऑल्सो सेल्फ एक्सेप्टेंस. पर्सनल ग्रोथ की बात जो है वो अकम्पलिशमेंट की फॉर्म में की परमा मॉडल में, पर्पस इन लाइफ की बात इंगेजमेंट की फॉर्म में की, और मीनिंग की फॉर्म में की. उसके अंदर परमा मॉडल के अंदर पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप्स की बात भी, पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप विद अदर्स की बात भी रिलेशनशिप्स में की परमा मॉडल के अंदर. सो देयर आर सर्टन ओवरलैपिंग इंग्रेडिएंट्स. कुछ सर्टन जो है वो चीज़ें हैं बहुत ज़्यादा मिलती हैं परमा मॉडल से, वो भी उन्होंने बता दी हैं. बट देयर आर 2 or 3 एस्पेक्ट्स, 2 or 3 डायमेंशंस दैट वर totally new, या वो different theme from PERMA model. ठीक है. And of course we are here talking about, we have talked about psychological well-being. On the other hand, PERMA model was all about achieving well-being, right? So in PERMA model we had like 5 dimensions, and in psychological well-being we have like 6 dimensions. That has been given by Carol Ryff. I hope this model is being clear to you. Quite easy to understand, but very interesting, and still very valid, still very considered very important model. So you must know all these 6 dimensions. Clear? All right, I think that's enough for today's lecture.